one task which is contributing the entire score to the reading section only. Okay, so let's see how this task is scored. This task is scored on the basis of pairs. So each pair of correct adjacent sentences gets you 1 mark, and there is no negative marking. All right, so you are given scores on the basis of correct adjacent sentences, and every correct pair is provided with 1 mark. However, there is no negative marking. So what happens if you are giving correct pairs? Perfect, you get +1. If you're not giving a correct pair or you are not able to get the whole passage right, still there is no negative marking, just that you won't get the maximum possible score, or not even a single mark if either of the pairs is not correct. So how is the reorder paragraphs scored? It is scored on the basis of correct adjacent sentences. Every time the system catches a correct pair, you get a +1. Okay, let's look at an example to understand this better. Let's say there is a paragraph with 5 sentences A, B, C, D, and E. So what are the maximum possible marks here? 4. For every 1 correct pair, AB, 1 mark, BC, 1 mark, CD, 1 mark, DE, again 1 mark. So for a paragraph of 5 sentences, you will get maximum 4 marks. You will not get marks based on the correct position of the sentences, but you only get marks based on the correct pairs of the sentences in the reorder paragraph. And for any reorder paragraph, let's say it's a reorder paragraph with 4 sentences, the maximum possible marks that you could score there are 3. It's a reorder with 5 sentences, the maximum possible marks you could score are 4. Why? Because you get 1 mark for every correct pair, irrespective of the position of the sentences. Let's look at another example. This, for instance, is a randomly solved question. The panel on the left side initially had the unsorted sentences, and the panel on the right side has an answer, right? So let's say this is my answer. Now, if you notice the left-hand box, you'll see the correct order is 4, 5, 2, 3, and 1. In the box on the right-hand side, the order is 4, 5, 1, 2, and 3. So what happens here? You get 1 mark for 4 and 5 because that's the correct pair. 5 and 1 are not the correct pair, so no mark here. Again, 1 and 2 are not a correct pair, not an adjacent pair, so you get no mark here again. But 2 and 3 are a correct pair again, so you get +1 for this also. If you notice carefully, 2 and 3 are not at its right position. All right, but still I'm getting +1 here. Why? Because in reorder paragraphs, we do not get marks for the correct position of sentences. We get +1 for every correct adjacent pair. So make sure that you are targeting on getting your pairs right. Okay. If anyone has a query, I think Isha raising her hand. If anyone has a query, I would request you to please type in the chat box. I would love to answer your questions, but I would request you to type your queries in the chat box. Okay, Neerav is asking keywords to identify pairs. Yes, Neerav, we are going to discuss these things in the upcoming slides. So please wait. I'm taking you forward to further to these things only. Anything else, anyone? All right. Now, this was about what are reorder paragraphs and how they are scored. Okay, these are the basics that everyone must be aware of, because you have to plan your strategies accordingly, because ultimate aim, of course, is the score. So you should know how you're going to get score here, and then you should be attempting the task. All right, let's go ahead. Now, how to solve reorder paragraphs? So today I'll be sharing the 3 important steps that will help you solve the reorder paragraphs very quickly, very easily, very comfortably. Of course, practice is needed. You'll have to try different questions and make yourself comfortable with the tasks. But if you understand these steps properly and you apply them on every question type, you'll realize how easy it gets to solve the reorders. So there'll be 3 important steps which we'll be following. First, identify the theme of the reorder passage. Now, every reorder passage is going to be based on a particular theme, like there is going to be a main idea, or there is going to be a purpose, a message behind the passage that you are reading. It's a kind of a storyline. Okay, so first of all, when you read the reorder paragraph, try to identify the theme of the passage. Try to understand what this passage is primarily about. Once that is done, we'll start looking for the independent sentence. So the step 1, identify the theme of the reorder passage. Step 2, find the independent sentence. Now, what is an independent sentence? An independent sentence is a sentence which will introduce you to the main idea of the topic, or which will be of the paragraph, or which will be introducing the main topic of the paragraph. Right? Now, this is about one sentence, independent sentence. Thereafter, we start looking for connections. We start looking for links. We discussed earlier, we need to relate the sentences with each other. We need to know, we need to find out how these sentences are related to each other. So what do we do for that? We have some connections, we have some cues given in the passage itself. We are going to look for them and then find the correct order. All right. So the 3 important steps that I'm going to discuss. First, identify the theme. Second, identify the independent sentence. Step 3, look for connections. So let's discuss step 1 in detail. First, identify the theme of the passage. Now, for your knowledge, every reorder paragraph is written on a particular topic related to a particular situation, maybe a past incident or a specific concept. All right. Or there could be a problem solution reorder, a question answer reorder, a definition example reorder. Now, let's say the first sentence that you read in a reorder paragraph is an example. So if there is an example in a reorder, start looking for the definition. That reorder is a definition example reorder. If you come across a solution, start looking for a problem. That reorder is a problem solution reorder. If the reorder is talking about a recent development, there must be some research, some experimentation related to it. If the reorder is based on a particular person, it is sharing details related to a particular person. Start from childhood to adulthood and then maybe old age. All right. So first of all, identify the main theme of the passage. Quickly skim through all the sentences in the passage. Move your eyes around all the sentences. Look for the words which are being repeated. All right. Identify what kind of passage it is. What is the main theme of this passage? Now, once the passage is familiar to you, then you will start finding the independent sentence. We use different strategies to find an independent sentence. Now, an independent sentence is a sentence which introduces the topic. It is going to be a standalone sentence. It will not be dependent on any other sentence for any kind of information. Okay, it will not have any reference to something that has been said before it. It is a standalone sentence. It will introduce the main topic of the passage. Next, we start looking for keywords. Keywords as in, it could begin with a person's name, the title of a book, the research names, the name of a place, or something specific. You're talking about a particular theory, it will introduce what theory it is. You're talking about, let's say, a particular situation, it will talk about the situation. You're describing a particular object, it will introduce the object. All right. So an independent sentence is a sentence which will have no reference to any prior information. It is a standalone sentence. If you read it alone, it will convey complete information. You will understand it completely. Yes, there could be added details, but it will not sound incomplete when you read it independently. Okay. Next, it will not generally begin with independent pronouns, as in he, she, them, those, they, it. So at the first glance, if you come across these pronouns, he, she, them, those, these, you can rule out that sentence as an independent sentence, because an independent sentence will not begin with independent pronouns. Lastly, the independent sentence will not start with any contradicting words or transition words like firstly, secondly, therefore, furthermore, additionally, but. Okay, because if you say but this thing happened, then it means you said something earlier to which you are contradicting. If you are saying therefore, this is the result, then of course something was discussed earlier, then you give the result. Okay, if you're saying secondly, then there must be something before it. So a bit of practice is needed to understand all these things in detail. I'll be practicing a few tasks with you all today in the live session to help you understand them better. But please remember, there are few rules to identify the independent sentence quickly. First, keep in mind an independent sentence is one which introduces the topic. Second, an independent sentence is not dependent on another sentence for any kind of information. It is a standalone sentence. Read it alone. You should be able to understand entirely what it is saying. Next, it will generally begin with a person's name, title of a book, or something like that, a proper noun. It will not begin with independent pronouns, he, she, them, those, it. These are the independent pronouns. The first sentence will not also begin with transition words or contradiction words. Okay. Now, one major challenge faced in finding an independent sentence is sometimes you come across a situation where there are more than one independent sentences. All right. Now, see, I shared a few rules with you. If you implement those rules, you're quickly going to identify an independent sentence. But sometimes there are more than one independent sentences in a passage. Let's look at this example. The first sentence, over time, fashion and people's tastes change. Now, does this seem like an independent sentence? Over time, fashion and people's tastes change. Yes, it is saying something about people's tastes changing over the time and their fashion sense changing over the time. So yes, this could be an independent sentence. Such changes affect the demand for product and services. So when I read the word such changes, I know that this is not an independent sentence. Such changes, it is referring to something prior to this. Changes in work pattern tend to mean that fewer families sit down in evening for a traditionally produced family meal, often because of lack of time. So this also sounds to be an independent sentence. Changes in work pattern tend to mean that fewer families sit down in evening for a traditionally produced family meal. Okay, this could be another independent sentence. The next one, sentence fourth, it begins with the words in contrast. So as discussed, an independent sentence will not begin with contradicting words. So I'm ruling out sentence 4 as an independent sentence also. Sentence 5, consequently, people are now more likely. So I do not have to read the complete sentence also. When I see words like this, consequently means as a result of. Okay, it's a consequence of something that has been done earlier. So I read consequently, I ruled out sentence 5 as an independent sentence. So such changes in contrast consequently. These words are directly telling me that these sentences are not the first sentence. They are not the independent sentences. I am now left with sentence 1 and sentence 3. One of these is the independent sentence. So if you are doing this passage, how would you choose your independent sentence? Which would be your independent sentence? Sentence 1 or sentence 3? Please type your answers in the chat box. Okay, I'm getting a mixed response here. Some of you are saying 1, over time, fashion and people's taste change. Some of you are saying changes in work pattern mean changes in work pattern tend to mean that fewer families sit down in evening for a traditionally produced family meal, often because of lack of time. So now I would like to tell you that whenever you are confused between two independent sentences, try to figure out which of these two sentences is conveying a broader information, which of these sentences is conveying a more general information. Okay, one of the two sentences will always be more specific and one of them will be more general. So you'll have to choose, you'll have to read both of them carefully to identify which is talking about the broader topic and which is sharing further details about it. So here, sentence 1 is the independent sentence because this is conveying this is targeting a more broader view. Okay, this has a more broader vision. Over time, fashion and people's taste change. Okay, changes in work pattern, this is one of the changes in work pattern tend to mean that fewer families sit down. So things related to it further. The sentence 1 is giving more broader information. So sentence 1 will be the independent sentence. Had there been no sentence 1, then of course sentence 3 could have been the starting sentence. But now since we have sentence 1 and sentence 3, so sentence 1 is a more general sentence with a more broader vision. So we'll choose sentence 1 as the independent sentence. Thereafter, we'll start solving the reorder following the next steps. Okay, so we have discussed 2 steps so far. Number 1, identify the theme of the main theme, the main idea of the passage. Number 2, find the independent sentence, wherein I've shared a few strategies with you to find the independent sentence. You can refer to this once more and understand it is not conveying any kind of, it introduces the topic, not referring to any information before this, begins with a few keywords like proper nouns, will not begin with independent pronouns, will not begin with contradictory words. So whenever I see such words in the beginning of the sentence, without reading the whole sentence, because we have a time constraint here too, right? So there is no need of reading the whole sentence. I'll simply choose the words such changes. Okay, ruled out. Sentence 2, not an independent sentence. Sentence 4, in contrast, ruled out, not an independent sentence. Consequently, ruled out, not an independent sentence. I'm left with sentence 1 and 3. Now I'll be reading these carefully and try to get my independent sentence right. I hope that's making sense. All right. Moving ahead to step 3. Step 3 is to find the links to pair up sentences. Now we have different strategies to find links. Here in this masterclass, I'll not be able to share details about each of these strategies because we need proper time to discuss each of them in detail. But yes, these are the different strategies broadly: the subject verb object rule, noun pronoun rule, article rule, short form acronym rule, general to specific rule, conjunctions or transition words rule, a logical order, or a time sequence. Now, what happens when we are in the live session? When we are in the live sessions in our online classes, we discuss different examples related to each of these rules and help our clients understand what exactly we mean by these strategies. Because simply giving you the terms is not going to help you. Yes, Mehak, I will try to speak in Hindi also. Right? For my Hindi audience, I'll be repeating a few important things in Hindi also. So far we have discussed reorder paragraphs. The task is about आपको 4 or 5 paragraphs दिए जाते हैं in a jumbled order. आपको उन paragraphs को rearrange करना है in the correct order. 2 boxes रहते हैं screen पे. The left hand box जिसमें sentences jumbled order में दिए जाते हैं और right side box which is empty in the beginning. आप जब उसको reorder करते हो sentences को, you have to drag and drop the sentences in the box on the right hand side. Reorder paragraphs में marking जो होती है, that is not based on the position of the sentence. आपको हर correct pair के लिए, for every correct pair of sentences, you get 1 mark. हम यहाँ पे 3 strategies, 3 steps use करते हैं. Number 1, हम find out करते हैं main theme क्या है passage की. Passage किस बारे में है. Okay. उसके बाद नंबर 2 हम फाइंड आउट करते हैं इंडिपेंडेंट सेंटेंस कौन सा है. इंडिपेंडेंट सेंटेंस हम कैसे ढूंढते हैं वो हमने अभी डिस्कस किया. एक एग्जाम्पल ली हमने और देखा कि उसमें एक मेजर चैलेंज जो रहता है इंडिपेंडेंट सेंटेंस में, वो ये रहता है कि कई बार दो इंडिपेंडेंट सेंटेंसेस होते हैं. हमने स्ट्रैटेजीज लगा ली, हमने रूल आउट कर लिए सेंटेंसेस जो इंडिपेंडेंट नहीं है, पर हमारे पास फिर भी कई बार दो सेंटेंसेस रह जाते हैं जो इंडिपेंडेंट है. अब उनमें से एक कैसे चूज करना है, उसके लिए आपको उन दोनों सेंटेंसेस को ध्यान से पढ़ना है, और जो सेंटेंस ज्यादा ब्रॉडर विजन दे रहा है, ज्यादा ब्रॉडर व्यू डिस्कस कर रहा है, वो सेंटेंस हमारा इंडिपेंडेंट सेंटेंस होगा. जो सेंटेंस स्पेसिफिक इंफॉर्मेशन शेयर कर रहा है रिलेटेड टू द मेन सब्जेक्ट, वो सेंटेंस हमारा इंडिपेंडेंट सेंटेंस नहीं होगा. उसके बाद हम आते हैं, वी आर ऑन टू फाइंडिंग लिंक्स. नाउ देयर आर डिफरेंट, okay, now Robin, I am talking in English also, so I'll definitely continue the whole session in English, but yes, I'll be repeating a few things in Hindi, so for my Hindi listeners as well. So let's please cooperate with each other. Okay, I'll try my best to answer all your queries and explain to my best possibility. I'll be using both the languages. Okay. Now to find links, or to the third step, now we have an idea about the main theme of the passage. We have an idea about the independent sentence. We've chosen our independent sentence. Now, what about the remaining sentences? We need to put them in correct order. All right. We need to rearrange them in correct sequence in order to ensure that our entire passage gets us good marks. It is placed in the correct sequence completely. So now there are different strategies that we use to find the links. Okay. I'll be taking up a few examples and discussing these strategies. For now, what I will request is keep these terms in mind, and we'll be discussing a few of these in the following examples. And maybe for more, if you're connecting with us in the live sessions, we'll take up different examples catering to all these different strategies. So I'll just briefly explain all these rules. The subject, verb, object rule. Now, every sentence is made up of different parts of speech, right? There are verbs, there are adjectives, there are nouns, there are articles. So we use those words, those parts of speech or those word forms to find our cues. There's a noun-pronoun rule wherein the pronoun is always following the noun, or the noun is always preceding the pronoun. So we just have to keep in mind the noun-pronoun rule, check for it. Wherever you see a noun, you should be, alert. This is a pronoun. I'm going to look for the noun to which this is referring. Okay, we all know that pronouns refer to some particular nouns. They are used to replace nouns. Ram is a boy, he is very smart. So Ram will always come before he comes. Ram is a boy and then he is very smart. Likewise, there are article rules. There are three different articles, and the. So now there are divided into definite and indefinite articles. So the indefinite article comes first, or the definite article comes first. We'll have to discuss all these in detail to understand the rules and then implement the same strategies to solve our reorders quickly. Okay. And for my Hindi listeners, these are the different strategies जो हम apply करते हैं in solving reorder paragraphs. इसके लिए आपको पता होना चाहिए कि एक sentence that is created with different parts of speech, nouns, verbs, adjectives, articles. इन्हीं parts of speech को, इन्हीं word forms को, sentences के कुछ words को लेकर के हम कुछ rules apply करते हैं, जिनकी help से हमें जो links हैं between different sentences वो हमें जल्दी मिल जाते हैं, and we are able to solve our reorders quickly. I'll be discussing an example and then let's see how this actually works. Okay, there's a query here, how to avoid the stress of time while doing reading. How to avoid the stress of time while doing reading? The answer is simple. You need to be aware of the ideal amount of time that you should be spending on each different question type. If it is a multiple question type, multiple choice question answer, you should know how much is the weightage of that task, how much is the ideal time you should be spending on it. If it is a reorder paragraph, like suggested, spend no more than 2 or 2.5 minutes. If it is a reading blank question type, again, let your trainers know your target score. They'll guide you accordingly what is the weightage of that task and how much time you should be ideally spending on it. So if you are aware of those strategies and you are implementing them during your practice sessions, there'll be no stress related to time, because we cannot afford to spend time, we cannot afford to let time distract us. We cannot stress about time. We have other things to stress about when we are in the test. Okay, so our energy, our concentration should be on the task that we are doing, on the question that we are solving, not on time management. Time management should be default in our system. Okay, our body should, our mind should tell us, okay, done, now I should proceed to the next question. Okay, reorder paragraphs. So this is one sample question for all of you. This question contains 4 different paragraphs, A, B, C, D, E. Now, before I start explaining, I would request you all to try this, and please post your answers in the chat box here. Take your time, read the sentences, and please post your answers in the chat box. Okay, Robin, please give me the entire order. Okay. Okay, I have one response as C is the independent answer, another response as B is the independent answer. Okay, nice. C, B, D, A is one order. Okay. A few tips here. Please try reading all the sentences for once before you decide which is the independent sentence. And just get an idea as to what this passage is basically about. Okay. Guesses will not work in reorders. These are always based on logic. So do not try to go by guesswork here. Try to look for logic. And once you are into practice, once you start solving them perfectly, you'll be very comfortable with them. It would be nice to see more participation. I do have a few answers, but it would be wonderful to see more participation. At least give it a try. We are going to discuss it anyhow. But yes, at least give it a try and see where you stand before I share the answers. Okay, nice. Okay, so let's see how I'm going to solve this. Step 1, as mentioned, we'll identify the theme of the passage. So how do we identify the theme of the passage? We'll quickly move our eyes through all these sentences, and we'll look out for words which are related to each other or the words which are being repeated. So whether this will change is a point of contention for industry. This is in order to ensure that technology only serves. Technology is one word which is substantial, which tells me that, okay, there's a mention of technology. This passage could be related to technology. Then another word that I see here is athletes. Technology only serves to enable the athletes to reach their full physical potential. So it's related to technology in relation with athletes, maybe. Okay, maybe. I'm not sure about it. I'm just onto the second sentence yet. To reach their full physical potential and not to enhance their performance. Okay, so I just took a note of few words, technology and athletes. An effective way to control joints is with electronic systems. Electronic systems, technology, they are related. So I'm just keeping a note of this too. That move in response to sensors with the prostheses and bionic limbs are already helping disabled people to lead more active life. So technology, athletes, electronic systems, more active lives than ever before. When it comes to competitive sports, athletes, competitive sports, again related, more active, related, electronic systems technology related. However, this technology poses problems as Paralympics currently prohibits prostheses that move artificially. All right, now I have got a basic idea about about the passage. It's somehow related to technology, athletes, active lives, and competitive sports. I do not need to go into depth here. I do not need to understand this passage fully. I'm just aware of the key theme of the passage. Now, what's the next step? Step 2, find an independent sentence. Sentence A says whether this will change. Whether, a contradictory word, A is ruled out, not an independent sentence. This is in order to ensure. This, what is this referring to? This is in order to ensure that technology only serves to enable athletes to reach their full physical potential and not to enhance their performance. So when I see this, I am asking myself, what is this referring to? Okay, so B is ruled out as being not an independent sentence. So B is not an independent sentence. A is not an independent sentence. Let's see sentence C. An effective way to control joints is with electronic systems. Could be an independent sentence. So if I feel that this could be an independent sentence, I'm going to read it completely to make sure that my choice is correct. So an effective way to control joints is with electronic systems that move in response to sensors within the prosthesis, and bionic limbs are already helping disabled people to lead more active lives than ever before. So seems to convey complete information. An effective way to control joints is with electronic systems and an explanation of the same. Next, let's read the sentence D also to check whether there are two possible independent sentences or not. So when it comes to competitive sports, however, this technology. So however, again, however means it is referring to something before this. If you say something only, then you can contradict it, right? You cannot directly contradict. You cannot begin with contradiction. You have to say something and then contradict it. मैंने कुछ बोला, उसी को मैं contradict करूंगी ना. So there has to be something before it. Second hint here, this technology poses a problem. This technology, which technology is it talking about? Is there any reference to some sorts of technology in sentence D? So, okay. However, this technology telling me that D is not an independent sentence again. So C is an independent sentence here. Okay. Some of you gave me sentence B as an independent sentence. B is not an independent sentence because it is beginning with the independent pronoun this. So this is in order to ensure. Ask yourself, what is this? If you get an answer to this in the same sentence, perfect. It could be an independent sentence. But if you are not finding an answer to what this is in the same sentence, please rule it out as an independent sentence. So we have found our independent sentence. It's sentence C. And once you've done that, you are half of your work is done. Okay. Once you're on the right track, once you've found the independent sentence accurately, half of your work is done. Let's see what follows next. Independent sentence is C. I've put it to top. We are left with 3 sentences now. What's the step 3? To make pairs, to find connections and make pairs. Now, C is my independent sentence. I am now going to look for cues here. So I'll read sentence C and look for something which is matching with information in sentence C. An effective way to control joints is with electronic systems. And if I read sentence D, it says that when it comes to competitive sports, however, this technology. So what is the technology this is referring to? Electronic systems is the technology that sentence D is referring to. All right. So what do I get here? A pair C and D. Are you understanding? This is how we look for pairs. I'm not going to be reading the whole sentences over and over again. Every time the first time I read it or the second time I read it, I'm going to mark the words mentally. I'm going to take a note of the words which are related to each other. I've highlighted them here for you. In the real test, you'll not be able to highlight. But yes, of course, you have notepads and markers with you. Okay. Okay. This is you're asking Gaganjot that sentence B also refers to the keyword technology. Okay, let's read it carefully. This is in order to ensure that the technology only serves to enable athletes. Okay, so let's read sentence D and sentence B. Sentence D says, when it comes to competitive sports, however, this technology poses a problem. So it is talking about a particular technology, and this sentence B is saying that this is in order to ensure that the technology only serves. All right. Now, technology only serves to enable athletes to reach full potential, correct? But this technology is directly referring to this part, electronic systems. So electronic systems and this technology creates some problems. And why this problem? To ensure that the athletes only, that they do not reach their full potential. That they reach their full potential but do not enhance their performance. So what you have to check here is, can you put directly B after C? An effective way to control joints is with electronic systems. This is in order to ensure that technology only serves to enable athletes to reach their full potential and not to enhance their performance. All right, if we take this order, what follows next? Can we place D after B? When it comes to competitive sports, however, this technology poses a problem. We cannot go that way. The whole meaning is changing. So you will first have to say that what this technology is about. Okay, this technology is about electronic systems. So an effective way to control joints is with electronic systems that move in response to sensors with prosthesis and bionic limbs are already helping disabled people to lead more active lives than ever before. Then when it comes to competitive sport, however, this technology poses a problem. All right, and what is, why this problem? This is in order to ensure. And finally, the sentence A, which talks about the point of contention. Do you get it? Please read it a couple of times to understand what I'm trying to say. We cannot put B after C. We'll first have to write D and then goes B. Once you have sorted the sentences in the correct order, you have unjumbled the sentences, you will have your entire paragraph in the panel on the right hand side. Please read it together as one paragraph to understand exactly what the story is about or what the passage is about. So how it goes, an effective way to control joints is with electronic systems. When it comes to competitive sports, however, this technology poses a problem. This is in order to ensure that technology only serves to enable athletes to reach their full potential and not to enhance their performance. Okay. And then we come with sentence A, whether this will change is a point of contention for the industry. So contention, satisfaction, so giving us a hint that this is the concluding statement. All right. I hope this is clear. Okay, Gaganjot is asking D, B and BD as a pair. So Gaganjot, now the correct sequence here is CD, DB, BA. Let's say you put it the other way, C, B, D and A. Then you will not get marks because the correct order is CD. So if you place B after D, if your order is BD, then the entire sequence is unarranged. The entire sequence is incorrect. CB is also not a correct pair. Likewise, BD is also not a correct pair, and DA is also not a correct pair. So one incorrect sentence can get you an absolute 0. Okay. Let's try one more example. So this is another practice question. Before I start explaining this, again, I would like you to have a look at it and give me your answers. Remember, look at all the sentences, try to identify the theme. Next, start looking for independent sentence. By now, you know the strategies to find an independent sentence. Thereafter, we'll start looking for pairs. Okay, Rajesh is asking about the subject verb object logic. Rajesh, I cannot explain that in much detail here because I'll have to take an example and explain it. But a general idea, subject verb object rule is that sometimes the subject in one sentence becomes the object in the next sentence. I'll give you a very basic example here. The boys are playing cricket with a bat. Okay, so what is the subject? The boys playing cricket with the bat. What is the object here? The bat. What is the verb? They are playing. All right. So subject verb object is the boys playing and object bat. Now, in the next sentence, if you see a sentence relating to the bat is made of wood and is an old one. So the object in the first sentence was bat. In the next sentence, the object has become the subject. The bat is made of wood. So this is the subject verb object. The subject in one sentence sometimes becomes the object in the next sentence. So probably I would need more time and an example to explain this in detail, but I'll be happy to know if you have understood what this basically means. Okay, all right, Rajesh. Right, so let's look at it. First, step 1, identify the theme of the passage. How do you identify the theme? We look for words which are related to each other. So music, tune, language. Music is a kind of language. Musical notation, written language, communicated efficiently. Communicated because language. Okay, language because music in words. So these are the keywords. This passage, without reading, even if you look at the keyword, you should be able to understand that it is related to music, and somehow music is being referred to as a language. It's about written language, musical notation, communications. Now, let's find our independent sentence. But it is difficult, but ruled out, not an independent sentence. Over the years, many human endeavors have had the benefit of language. Could be an independent sentence. It was the development of a standard musical notation in the 11th century that allowed music to be documented in a physical form. Could be an independent sentence. In particular, a written language. In particular, specifically. So you're being specific here, so you'll not choose this as the independent sentence. There has to be something general before we go specific. Now music could be. So what before? Okay, so not an independent sentence. I'm left with B and C here. If I read both of these carefully, over the years, many human endeavors have had the benefit of the language. It was the development of a standard music notation that allowed music to be documented in a physical form. So B is more general. It is talking about human endeavors which have had the benefit of language. And then it is talking about a specific endeavor which is related to the standard musical notation. So sentence B is the independent sentence. Moving ahead, now B is the independent sentence. Let's start looking for links. Now I find link here in sentence D, benefit of language. What is the benefit? Conveying a lot of information. All right, next, we'll pair up B and D first. So we have one pair, B and D. In sentence D, we see another thing, written language. In sentence A, we see is difficult to describe music in words. So when it is describe music in words, it means that it is referring to written language. So we know that D and A are pairing up. Okay, I'm repeating myself. Without reading the whole sentences, if I'm able to identify the keywords, I can easily pair up my sentences. Benefit of the language. What is the benefit? Conveying a lot of information. So first benefit, and what is the benefit? Conveying a lot of information. Next, written language. Written language is described further in describe music in words. This is about written language. Sentence D. And what language? How do you describe it? Describing using music in words. All right. So this has a link again. Sentence D and A are connected. We have 3 sentences in correct order: B, D, A. Also, if you look carefully at sentence A, you'll realize there's a problem here. It is difficult to describe music in words, even more difficult to specify a tune. And if I read sentence C, I find a solution here. Solution, what is the solution? Development of a standard musical notation. And now music could be communicated efficiently. This is the consequence, the after effect or the solution. All right, so what's the correct order? Over the years, many human endeavors have had the benefit of language. In particular, it can convey a lot of information, and then, but it is difficult, contradicting to the benefits. All right, and then the development of something which helped ease out the situation, and the result, the consequence. So what steps did we follow? First, we identified the theme of the passage. It is important to do that because that makes you familiar with the passage. The passage seems to be understandable. All right, so always try to understand the main idea, the theme of the passage before starting looking for the independent sentence or the pairs. Next, start looking for the independent sentence. You know the strategies, rule out the sentences which are not independent. Out of the remaining 2 sentences, there are not more than 2 likely independent sentences in a passage. So just check the 2 sentences, the 2 possible options for the independent sentence. Check them carefully. You will definitely be able to identify the one which is more general. Pick it up as an independent sentence. Next, start looking for cues. So there are different strategies for different strategies related to the different strategies which will help you find cues. Okay. Brijesh is asking me to explain the connectivity between A and C. See, Brijesh, sentence A says, it is difficult to describe music in words and even more difficult to specify a tune. Okay, this is a problem here. Sentence C is giving us a solution. It was the development of a standard musical notation that allowed music to be documented in physical form. If you remember, this passage has been talking about written language, musical notations, writing music in words. So the entire passage is about music being a kind of a written language or being written in notations. Okay, so what is the passage mainly about? It is about a problem and then a solution to it. So if you read it from the starting, many human endeavors have had the benefit of language. Written language can convey a lot of information, but it is difficult to describe music in words. Okay, this is the problem, and the solution, the development of a standard musical notation. And then music could be communicated efficiently as a result of it. So this is a problem, solution, and consequence paragraph. All right. Okay. So a few quick tips related to reorder paragraphs. This task is based on logic. Do not go by your guesswork. The task is a little tricky. Do not get overwhelmed. If there are big sentences, you're not able to understand them, please break it up into smaller chunks. Try to read the specific chunk which you are able to understand. Once you're comfortable with that part, then go for reading the later half. In many cases, you will not even have to read the whole sentence if you go by the strategies that have been explained to you in the session. If you are really stuck with a particular passage, use trial and error method, because as discussed, you can always rearrange the sentences in a different order. Always target on finding the independent sentence first. Second, target making pairs, because even if the entire passage is not in correct order, you will get marks for every correct adjacent pair. And ultimately, it's all about marks. Do not stress over unfamiliar words. Try to identify the main theme of the passage that will help you understand the unfamiliar words also. Do not spend too much time on this task. Remember, 2 to 2.5 minutes is good enough for one reorder paragraph. For more such quick tips, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. And yes, do remember to join our Telegram community. There are lots of such updates being shared on our channels, on our social media applications on regular basis. PT Tutorials is providing online coaching. We are sharing personalized coaching, customized plans depending on the user needs, as well as group sessions are being provided from 5 a.m. in the morning till 9:30 p.m. in the night. So it's always better to go for a guided approach rather than a hit and trial method for the PTE test. My suggestion to each one of you would always be to take classes, join online sessions, practice with the trainers, attempt the tasks, share your tasks with us, get them evaluated, get feedback related to your performance, because sometimes the learners, the aspirants, they are not able to identify their weaknesses by themselves. When you sit with your trainer, they'll in the first go identify where you are going wrong. And our purpose is same as yours, working on you to help you get your target scores. And if you have the potential, then maybe more than your target scores. Sometimes it's just the lack of awareness which does not let you get your target scores. So PT exam, it's marked entirely by the AI system. Please choose to go for a mentored practice instead of trying taking your test and then coming to us. All right. So for all admission related queries, I would request you all to take a note of the following number. You may call or WhatsApp us on 95584591119. This is it about reorder paragraphs. Now I would request you to please come up with your queries. If anyone has a query, please drop a message in the chat box. I'll be answering them. Rajesh is asking if my target is 70 each. Can I do some mistakes in this task? It will impact. Rajesh, this task is important for your reading scores. So see, mistakes are unavoidable. However well you may have practiced or however capable you might be, we all are prone to errors. Okay, each one of us, not even I'm not an exception. None of us is. So mistakes are acceptable, but yes, the thing is that what is your target score? How well are you doing in the other tasks, in the other question types in the reading section, or like, you know, how well are you able to meet your target score through the different tasks and other sections? These are the few things that I need to check before I can say that it's okay to make mistakes in reorders or not. Okay, now reading, we all know that PT is a test where the scores, many of the questions, they are integrated. Okay, and there are some questions which carry negative marking also. So how it works is we need to identify your strengths and your weaknesses. If you're doing well in the other question types, maybe I can say, okay, Rajesh, take this easy. It's okay. Do not stress too much about reorders. But if let's say you're not doing well in other tasks which are contributing scores to reading section, then maybe I'll insist that, yes, you'll have to work here. Okay, but still, if you're targeting around 70 each, then it's okay, but try and get at least 50% scores from each reorder. Arshdeep, next date for the class, probably you'll be updated by the team soon. Please follow us, join us, stay connected with us on either of the channels, maybe the YouTube, the Facebook, Instagram, or Telegram, where we are providing regular updates related to our sessions. And also there are weekly live free sessions provided in our Telegram group. So we cater to different topics on weekly basis. Join that, you'll stay updated about the upcoming sessions, plus you'll gain insight from the tasks that are discussed by the trainers. Okay, there's another query, hence always comes in the last. S, I do not know your full name. So S, hence always comes in the last. it generally comes in the last, but not always. You have to understand what are the other sentences saying about the same topic. Hence is used to give a result, or hence is used to show the end, a conclusion, or the completion of the topic. But then there could be some contradiction to hence also. Okay, so I cannot generalize, I cannot make it a rule that hence always comes in the end, but hence will be somewhere towards the end, either the second last or the last. We'll have to discuss the specific question type where hence comes and then explain whether it is in the last or the second last, or it depends on the passage. Can an introductory sentence start with it? Yes, it may start with it, provided it carries answer to it within the same sentence. All right, so Gaganjot, again, I need to see a sample question to explain this thing better. It can start with the pronoun it, but then the answer to what is it has to be given in the same paragraph, in the same sentence. And how many reorder paragraphs? Pavitra, you will get 2 or 3 reorder paragraphs. Each reorder paragraph will have 4 to 5 sub-paragraphs in it. So in the real test, there could be 2 or 3 reorder paragraphs, each with 4 or 5 paragraphs in it. And Jayendra Sinha is asking, one session describing all link categories for all link. Okay, I would also request you to join our online sessions where we'll discuss all the question types one by one, practice a lot of questions with our clients, so that, because when I am doing the things, I am getting a better understanding of the same. When you do it in front of me and you make mistakes, I'll point them out, reason out with you why and how you are going wrong, and you will be able to understand things better then. Okay, Sachita. Sometimes Trupti, sometimes I have seen words like firstly, secondly come as the topic. Trupti, it would be great to connect with you, maybe over Telegram. Join me over Telegram, tag me there. My ID would be Ekta_Rosses. Share a question where you see firstly, secondly coming as a topic sentence. That could be a case. I'm not disagreeing with it, but yes, there has to be a reason. The entire information has to be contained within that sentence. So maybe it's not the transition word there. Okay, it's the introductory sentence using these terms. Secondly, I do not agree with it. Firstly, yes, it could be a case where firstly could be a topic sentence. Same type of session for fill in the blanks, Nirali, probably soon. And Sulabh is asking general to specific rules. General to specific is, Sulabh, this is like, let's say you're talking about the solar system and the planets. So what is broader, solar system or planets? You'll first talk about the solar system, then talk about the different planets that fall under that category. This is how it works. So it's like you talk about the broader category first, then you go specific. Okay, there is, let's say we start discussing about PT. So PTE is an exam which consists of 4 different sections. And then you will say the sections are speaking, writing, reading, and listening. You won't say that there are 4 sections in PT, speaking, reading, writing, and listening, and then say PT is a 2-hour exam consisting of 4 sections. Do you understand? It goes the other way. PT is a 2-hour exam with 4 sections, and the sections are speaking, reading, writing, and listening. So broader category first, and then the subcategories, the more specific details. My ID, Sachita, is @Ekta_Bansal. I'll be sharing it with you, all of you here. You can join our Telegram group and drop me a text in the Telegram. The entire PT team is very happy to help the aspirants, because when you come up with flying colors, we feel like we have achieved our targets. All right, then I guess there are no more queries. So we can end this session here. Pavitra is saying a session for read aloud and repeat sentences would be helpful. Sure, Pavitra, please keep us posted with your requirements. We would be happy to come up with sessions to answer your doubts, to help you with your weak areas. Yes, Gurjinder, please post your query. Thank you, Raghu. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. In case anyone has a query, please post it in the chat box. Gurjinder is asking, is independent sentence start with this? Generally not, Gurjinder. This means that, this is the case or this is the situation. So this is not a term which will be used in the independent sentence generally. But there could be exceptions to this where the information answering this is contained in the same sentence. Okay, like we discussed 2 examples here. One of them contained this. So this could not be the independent sentence, because when I read this, I was asking myself, what is this? This technology, what is this? Which technology is it referring to? Now, if you get answer to that question, like which technology is it referring to? For example, the sentence says, this technology of electronic systems, okay, has helped athletes do better. So then this technology, which technology? Of electronic systems. Then you're getting your answer in the same sentence. In that case, the sentence containing this or beginning with this could be an independent sentence. But generally, this is not the case. Because reorder paragraphs, what happens? You pick up a passage from a journal, a magazine, or any circular, which is, circulated in native English-speaking countries, and then you break it into paragraphs, into sentences, and you reorder them. So in that passage, of course, when pronouns are used, they are referring to some information which has been shared earlier. Now, when you are reading that passage in a jumbled order, you will see some sentences beginning with some pronouns like this, it, that, he. So the sentences are referring to some information which has already been shared. And generally, you will see that wherever you see an independent pronoun, you will find another sentence which is catering to that independent pronoun. So instead of focusing on finding a sentence starting with this, try to focus on finding another sentence which is providing information related to this. Okay, but yes, in rare cases, an independent sentence could begin with this. All right, then. That's it. Let's end the session here. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Stay connected with us over our social media platforms. It was wonderful having you all in the session. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.